Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Yeah, welcome back to the big show. Good to see you, too. All right, my next guest, I'm having him on because he's kind of like the lib whisperer. No one can explain what is going through the head of the average Team Blue supporter better than my next guest, Evan Sayet. Welcome back to the big show, Evan.
Thanks, James. Good to be back.
All right, first question. Do they really think he's Hitler? I mean, I just played Mika Brzezinski a couple times in the last hour saying he's obsessed with Hitler. He's literally a fascist. Does she really? She's not stupid. Does she really think he's a fascist, or is she just saying that to scare people into opposing him?
Well, it's a combination of the two. You know, you got to go back to my original unified field theory of leftism, of liberalism, which is that indiscriminateness is a moral imperative because its opposite is discrimination. So they do not discriminate between right and wrong, good and evil, better and worse, truth and lies. Therefore, anybody who does discriminate, you know, we went back, I gave an example years ago, but people who discriminate against illegal aliens, all right, they are like Hitler because Hitler discriminated. It doesn't matter what somebody believes. The only thing that's not the evil of discrimination is utter indiscriminateness. And if you look at Democratic Party policies, they are all defined by indiscriminateness, open borders. They don't discriminate between, you know, the drug traffickers and the human traffickers and the cartels and those who might truly be in need. Sanctuary cities do not discriminate between criminals and again, those who might truly be in need.
Olympic swimming
does not discriminate between a man and a woman. Whatever the issue is, if you want to know where the Democrat stands on it, where the modern liberal stands on it, ask yourself what you would believe if you did not discriminate between right and wrong, truth and ugliness, you name it, morality and immorality, and you will find the Democrats' position. So they support the Palestinian terrorists. Why? Because they don't discriminate against terrorism. And so, yes, they believe that anybody who has morals, anybody who discriminates between right and wrong, is like Hitler, because Hitler discriminated and Donald Trump discriminates. Therefore, they're like each other. Okay,
so does she really think he's Hitler, though? I mean, like, just to focus on Mika Brzezinski. I realize that there's some people out there who are just mouth breathers who get scared by what they see on TV. You know, the guy that was shooting at him probably thought he was really Hitler. But the question is, like, some people really know who Hitler was and how awful he was, and to compare him to Trump is like so ridiculous. It deserves to be like eye rolled and you're dismissed from polite society. So I really have a hard time, because either she really does and she's just, I don't know, smelling her own farts, or she's dishonest.
Well, she's a combination of the two. Anybody who discriminates is like Hitler. And even if you haven't committed the atrocities that Hitler has committed, you are the only one who is ever capable of committing those atrocities, because only people who discriminate can engage in only people who believe things can believe in something so much as to be willing to kill or die for it. You know, and let's get off of the people that we don't like and talk about somebody that we do tend to like, which is the guy John Lennon. And when John Lennon says, if we eliminate everything, if we eliminate all recognition of good and evil, if there's no God, if there's no heaven and hell, if there's only the moment and nothing else matters except the moment, then we will have a world with nothing to kill or die for. So Hitler had things to kill or die for. People who joined the military and patriots have things that they are willing to kill or die for. Only people who believe in nothing. And so the way that everybody, and keep in mind, this is only the latest Republican that they've called Hitler. You go back to that original talk I gave to the Heritage Foundation. I was talking about how they were saying that
Bush is Hitler. Yeah. All right.
Reagan was Hitler. Everybody who is not indiscriminate is Hitler, because Hitler discriminated just like we discriminate. Only he discriminated against good and decent people, and we discriminate against bad people.
Yeah, and
it's the act of discrimination that makes everybody who's not on the political left like Hitler.
Right, and it sounds sort of like a moral relativism, and in some ways it is, but it puts you in a position of always fighting against the good if you're a moral relativist. Fighting against the successful, I should say.
Well, I say the good, right, and successful, because if nothing is better than anything else, if no culture, no religion, no form of governance, no family structure, if nothing is better than anything else, then success is unjust. Why should a person, a nation, a culture, a religion, something succeed if it's not better than anything else? And if good and if right and wrong is defined by victory and success and failure, if success and failure is proof positive of injustice, great success and great failure is proof positive of great injustice, which is why the two nations on this planet that they despise the most are not the most evil nations, not by far. It's America and Israel. Why? Because America is exceptionally successful. And if America is nothing special, then how do you explain our exceptional success? And Israel, given its size and given the reality of who surrounds it, they are stunningly, in fact, miraculously successful. And so if you do not differentiate, if you do not discriminate between Judeo-Christianity and Islam, for example, then how do you explain Israel has symphony orchestras and Israel has magnificent skyscrapers and operas and Nobel Prize-winning scientists, and the Palestinians have nothing? They have crap. There's only two possible explanations. Either there is a difference between Judeo-Christianity and Islam, but they're not allowed to believe that. That would be discriminating. So once they eliminate discriminating thought, the only explanation for success and failure that they have is that somehow the successful have cheated and somehow the failures have been victimized. And that's how they see it. And in fact, the greater the success, the greater the victimization must have been, which is the entire reason that the Jews are the Nazis, whereas those who actually embrace Nazi-like ideology, the Islamicists, they're the innocent victims. Yes, you're right. It's not just moral relativism. It actually flips good and evil.
Okay, so let me ask you, Lib Whisperer. Kamala Harris isn't doing so good in the polls, especially in the swing states. She may be headed for a loss. Will there be riots if she loses?
Oh, I suspect there will be. I don't know if they're going to be immediately thereafter or they're going to look for the very first excuse to ignite it. You keep in mind the riots of January 6th, which supposedly were incited by what President Trump said on that day, which I was there, actually. I watched the president's speech. I didn't make it to the Capitol, unfortunately, or maybe perhaps fortunately, as I had a previous commitment. But nonetheless, there was nothing in his speech that was inciting, nor were the 300,000 people who were there in any way incited. There were no crimes during that speech or immediately after that speech or on the walk to the Capitol. All the things that happened by the people who were already at the Capitol, therefore not having listened to the president's speech. So compare and contrast, and there's actually a video, a montage, a compilation on the internet, 24 straight minutes of Democrats inciting violence and denying various elections. And where was the actual violence over the year and a half prior to January 6th? Everywhere where the liberals had been whipped into a hateful frenzy against the supposed racist, bigots, homophobes, xenophobes, misogynists, and every other hateful word that they call us. So yes, there's going to be violence because Democrats are violent. They are violent for the very simple reason that they can't use their indoor voice. They can't use fact and reason to argue on behalf of what it is they believe because they don't believe in anything. The political left resides entirely between hatred and indifference. They are indifferent to the child molesters, to the child traffickers. They are indifferent to the baby in the womb. They are indifferent to the people who get murdered and raped because they defunded the police. And they hate those of us who aren't indifferent. And so there's nothing that they can argue for in the affirmative because they can't affirm their beliefs. There are no beliefs for them to affirm. So all they can do is render the alternative so far beyond the pale that no matter how much the Democrats have destroyed the cities, the schools, the states in which they dominate, and the country where it is that they do have the power, their supporters will continue to vote for them, not because they're voting for them, but because they're voting against that which they have portrayed as beyond the pale, which is why we must we can't just be wrong, we can't just be misguided, we must be not only deplorable, but irredeemably so.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the H word.
I don't know what the H word is. Oh, Hitler.
That's our secret word of the day, so you just hit it.
No,
all right.
It's almost like that old commercial. You know, I'm a Hitler. You're a Hitler. He's a Hitler. She's a Hitler. Wouldn't you like to be a Hitler too?
Okay, you're going to wear out the secret word buzzer. So let me play devil's advocate. You say they don't believe in anything, but Evan, I'm a good liberal member of Team Blue. I believe in things. I believe in universal health care. I believe in abortion. I believe in public schools. So what do you have to say to that, Evan? I do have some beliefs.
Right, but all of those beliefs are actually the negation of the alternative. So they believe in abortion, which is a not belief in the value of human life. You know, they believe, I forget the others that you mentioned, but they believe in I don't remember the others that you mentioned, but if
universal health care.
Okay, universal health care again is indiscriminate about who gets this, who's entitled to it, who pays for it, how it works. Are we actually going to have doctors when it's the government paying? It's not a thoughtful, thought out. As I in fact just wrote again today, there is nothing that the political left believes that is the product of research and analysis. So they have not thought they're in favor of universal health care because it's health care for everyone. It sounds good. But what are the practicalities of it? Why is it that they're for universal health care, except that it sounds good? How does it work? They don't know. They've never thought it through. You know, it's Thomas Sowell who said the problem with the left is that they don't engage in stage 2 thinking. Mm-hmm. In other words, they don't think about the consequences. They don't think about the costs. And so they have this utopian ideology where everything's free and the borders are open and there are no police and everybody, you know, go back to the John Lennon song where there's nothing to kill or die for so long as there's nothing to live for.
What is their deal with trains? They're always trying to expand the trains here in Dallas. I know you've seen the news down here. They're always trying to add another DART rail or add some more buses or, you know, and any chance we have to cut the funding, they act like it's the end of the world. Why do they love little government choo-choo trains so much?
I believe, and I've actually given this some thought, and I believe it's a project where hiding failure and hiding corruption and hiding the additional costs that they keep adding and adding and adding and yet get nowhere with is so easy to hide because nobody's riding the rails anyway. So it's not like you're working on the roads where you're going to be disturbing drivers. It's not like you're fixing the airports where you're going to be disturbing travelers. And so you have this thing that doesn't exist. And I'm thinking mostly about the light rails that like in California that they want to build. That's going to end up where I am in Las Vegas. And of course, it hasn't gotten anywhere. It hasn't gotten anywhere in decades, but nobody really knows because it's out of sight. Nobody is being deprived of using it because nobody was using it in the first place.
It just seems like it fits under their genre of free stuff equals good. So public schools, free schools is good. Secondary education or higher education with loans and
right, free colleges, now free money to start a family, free money to start a business, free money because they don't think about stage 2, which is who pays for this money. Where does this money come from? It comes from only one of two places. It comes from the working people who have to work longer hours to pay the taxes, or it comes from working people who have to work longer because inflation, because they printed the money to pay for it,
right,
has now made their money worth less.
But hey, you get a free choo-choo train ride downtown, Evan Sayet. Hey, we're about out of time here. I just finished your last book, The Atheist Origin Myth, and it was cool to see you go from your first couple of books being so politically oriented to something that was not even religious. It's more philosophical. But first off, great book. Who needs to read this? Like, who is this aimed at? Is this aimed at people who already believe or people who are on the fence? That's what I couldn't figure out.
Right. It's. I want the people who believe to make this the book they give to their non-believing friends, and most atheists today, and this is one of the things that's destroying the Western civilization, because atheism is just another form of indiscriminateness.
Yes. How
did the universe come into being? Well, it's just luck. It just created it. But the big lie of atheism, most people reject God because God is not scientific. But what the atheists don't tell them is the only alternative to God is equally as unscientific. No matter what, the universe is here. How did it get here? It either got here through materials and forces from outside of our universe, thus it's not a materialistic answer, or it was always here, which means it's outside of the dimension of time. And thus, now that you have two equally unscientific possibilities, and they are the only two, which one does science uphold? And the answer is actually belief in God.
All right, and look, this will be good news for Jews, Christians, and Muslims alike. As long as you're not an atheist, you're going to like this book, The Atheist Origin Myth. Evan Sayet, thank you very much for your time again. I appreciate it, sir.
Of course, James. Thanks.
All right, his books are great. His videos on YouTube and online are great. There's a bunch of stuff of his on Rumble. Evan Sayet, Evansayet. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.